Hello, today I'm going to be changing the oil in my 96 Isuzu Rodeo. So I thought I'd make a video to show for people who aren't sure how to do it. Before you change your oil, you should have the vehicle warmed up, so you should drive it for several miles because the oil flows better when it's heated up, and it'll take all the dirt and the sludge and everything out of the engine better. So I lay everything out before I go and warm up the engine, so as soon as I get back I can go ahead and change it. Here's everything you'll need to change the oil. I'm going to use Max Life high mileage oil. I've never used it before, but it was the cheapest high mileage oil. I usually used Castrol GTX. And I have a Bosch Distance Plus oil filter. This is D3312. This is an expensive filter. I think it was $13, but the reviews I read online said it was one of the best ones. I only change the oil twice a year on this because it only gets driven about 3,000 miles between oil changes. So. Yeah, twice a year. I don't think spending $13 for a filter is too much. You'll need an oil filter wrench. This is the kind I use. You need an oil drain pan. You'll need some gloves. And for the to get the bolt off the oil drain pan or the oil pan, you'll need a 22mm socket. And there's a little skid plate that's underneath the oil filter that you'll need to remove to get to the oil filter, and you'll need a 14mm socket for that. And of course I have some shop towels, and you'll need a funnel too for refilling. This one has the, let me see here, it has a larger engine that was available that year. Mine has the 3.2 liter, and it says for, let's see, oil with filter change is 5.4 liters, or 5.7 US quarts. So you'll need to get a big jug, which is 5 quarts. And you'll need to get a smaller jug, which is 1 quart. So you need 6 quarts total to do it, since it's 5.7. So I'm going to go now and warm up the engine. Okay, I just went for a couple mile drive. And the road I live on's wet, so I have water dripping down. So I'm going to get wet when I get underneath there. But I'll show you where the oil drain bolt's at. It is right here. You can see that. I can't even tell where I have the camera pointed. There it is. It's underneath this thing. It's a great big one. And you'll need your 22mm socket to get that off. So I'm going to go ahead and, I'll need 2 hands to get it off, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Well, to get it off, I had to use my breaker bar with a 22mm socket. It was on there pretty good. I'll show you which way to turn it. I'm going to put it on this way. You see, it's difficult to see under here. Right there, and turn it back this way towards the passenger side. It'll be for my own reference next time, so I know which way to turn it. I'm going to put on my glove and take it off the rest of the way by hand. Once you get it off, or once you get it loose, you want to take it off by hand like that. And you want to have your oil pan underneath it because it's going to start flowing out. There we go. I usually let that drain for about an hour or so, just to make sure all the old dirty oil gets out. Next we need to take off the little skid plate that's underneath the oil filter so we can access that while this is draining. I'm going to go ahead and clean up this old oil bolt. Now some people put new ones on, but I always just reuse them. Also, to make the oil flow out better, you can undo the oil fill cap. Everything's on there tight. There we go. Alright, now we need to take off a little skid plate with your 14mm wrench, and these just go back towards the, just push it towards the passenger side like that. And these come off pretty easily. Oops. There's one out. There's two out, and this should just pull right out. It's all dirty. There we go, just like that. Mine's all full of mud and stuff. Okay, so when that finishes draining the oil under there, we can go ahead and change our oil filter. So I'm going to let that drain for an hour or so, and then I'll come back. Alright, the oil's finished draining out, so I'm going to go ahead and put the bolt back in, and then take off the oil filter. One thing that I've noticed is that there's not a whole lot of oil drained down into my drain pan. From what I've read on the internet, these engines use a whole bunch of oil, and I can confirm that. I don't have an oil leak. There's never any oil on the ground where I park, but it does burn it, apparently, so. I haven't checked my oil in a couple weeks because I was planning on changing it anyway, so I wasn't too concerned. But apparently I should have, because these things definitely use a lot of oil. Now that it's a bit brighter outside, I can show you, be sure that when you change your oil, you want to take out the bolt, this back here, right under there. Where's my finger at? Don't take out the one that's right here on the front. You want the one under here. It's just behind this little plate here. What I normally do is just wipe off the area here. And then put the bolt back on my hand. And just use a wrench to tighten it up. These don't need to be incredibly tight. You just get them hand tight, that's tight enough, or wrench tight. Alright, now let's move to the oil filter, which is right, hope you can see that, it's pretty dark, right here. Okay, we got our oil drain pan situated under here. Now we need to get off the oil filter there. I think to get it off, you twist it towards the front of the vehicle. Yeah, there it goes. I'm going to take that the rest of the way off by hand. I'll scoot out a little bit so I don't get oil on me. It's starting to drip there. I'm going to do this from the other side. Let's get the pan this way a little bit. Whoa! loose by now. There it goes. Ugh. We'll let that drain out for a few minutes and then put in a new oil filter. Well, when you take your filter off, you want to be sure this rubber gasket comes off with the filter. Got the old one here. You can see here the rubber gasket's still attached. If it's still up underneath there, you need to take it off. If you have two rubber gaskets on there, you'll have a big mess. I've never done that, but I've read that's what happens. What I always do is clean off around where the oil filter attaches. Right up underneath there with a paper towel. Let's see if I can film it. Or at the shop towel, not paper towel. Just to be sure it gets a good seal and there's no dirt or anything on it. Then you need to take your new filter and you want to put a little bit of oil around the rubber seal in it. And then just screw it back on. Just dip your finger down in there. Of course, this is with our new oil, not the old. Okay, now we're ready to put on our new one. Kind of difficult with one hand. What I usually do is get it as tight as I can by hand and then get just a little bit of a turn with the oil filter wrench to make sure it's on there good. Right, now we're ready to refill the oil. I'm sure you know how to do that, so I don't need to videotape it. Alright, I got the oil refilled. Now all we have to do is start it up and check the oil drain bolt for leaks and check the oil filter for leaks. And I've never had it leak after I did an oil change, but it's still good to check. Then all we have to do is put our little skid plate back on underneath the oil filter. And it's all ready to go. And I always take the old oil and pour it back into my empty oil container, and then you can take it to an oil recycling place or wherever. Hopefully you're taking it to an oil recycling place. And that's about it. And that's how you change the oil on a 96 Isuzu Rodeo. Thanks for watching.